Now, here's one example that looks at the endocrine system. It is a system because it's a group of organs that are working together. So it is more so focusing on the location of the endocrine glands in the human body. So here we have question 5 that says, now the diagram below shows the position of the endocrine glands found in a male human body. Now, before we can even attempt the questions, let's see if we can identify some of these endocrine glands. Number 1, or rather number A, there it is, as you can see. Well, that is at the base of the brain, so definitely it is your pituitary gland. Pituitary gland. That's number 1. Then let's look at B. Well, this is that looks like a thyroid gland. Thyroid gland. It is found around your trachea or your larynx, your voice box, or your air pipe. Then endocrine gland C, well, as you can see, it's just below the stomach there, so that is your pancreas. And then endocrine D is found above the kidneys, that is adrenal glands. And then E, because this is the male, this will be your testes. So testes are basically the endocrine glands because they secrete testosterone. Even though they may have said these are target organs for secondary male characteristics, just remember that it is also an endocrine gland because it secretes testosterone. So let's go to 5.1, which says, now identify the name and letter of the gland that secrete the hormone that 1 stimulates the growth of long bones. So we must write the letter and the name. So the name of that is the growth hormone. So it's growth hormone. And what is the letter? Well, the growth hormone is secreted by the pituitary gland, so that will be A, and that is for 2 marks. And then the one that regulates salt balance, well, that is the adrenal glands. Adrenal glands. And where are these adrenal glands found? Just be above the kidneys, so the letter will be D. The letter for that will be D. Then let's look at 5.2. They say, now explain the consequence if gland E, which is the testes right here, found only in males, cannot secrete its hormone. So gland E, what is it? These are the testes. So we must explain what will happen if the testes do not secrete the hormones. So if testes do not secrete the hormone, therefore this will result in the absence of testosterone. This will result in the absence of testosterone or no testosterone produced, and thus will lead to no maturation of sperms. So the sperms will no longer be matured. No maturation of sperms, and we can refer to infertility. So this male, if they are unable to produce testosterone, therefore they will be infertile because they cannot be able to produce sperm cells, and if the sperm cells are not mature enough, therefore they cannot have children, so that male will be infertile, right? So now we are going to look at 5.3. 5.3 will read as explain the consequence. Again, we have to explain the consequence. And remember, when you explain, you refer to the cause and the effect. So the cause here is that there is no testosterone produced, and then the effect will be that it will lead to no maturation of the sperm cells and thus infertility. So let's have a look at 5.3, which says, now explain the consequence of the weight of a person if the hormones secreted by gland B remain abnormally high for extended periods of time. So for this one, now you have to go back to remembering what hormone does gland B secrete. So gland B secretes thyroxine. So we are going to talk about thyroxine. And now they say this thyroxine remains abnormally high, so an increase in thyroxine results in the increase in the metabolic rate. And if the metabolic rate has increased, therefore it means more glucose is broken down more glucose is broken down. Fats are also broken down. Thus less fats and glucose. This is point number 3. Less fats and glucose are stored, and therefore the person will lose weight. So now basically here we are talking about thyroxine, and the thing about thyroxine is that if there is a lot of thyroxine in the blood, it is going to increase the metabolic rate. And when there's an increase in the metabolic rate, it means that more glucose and fats are broken down in the body instead of being stored. So the storage of fats and glucose is not going to take place, and therefore that person is going to lose weight. So that's what they are asking us to explain. And the cause, of course, whenever you are explaining, you must have a cause and effect. The cause of having abnormally high thyroxine in the blood will result in more glucose being broken down and less fats and glucose being stored, and therefore this will result in the person losing the weight, and that is the effect. So yeah, you must be able to explain that question. So moving on to another one, here is also an overview that is talking about the endocrine system. Now we are going to look at the stimulus, the receptors, control center, as well as the effector. Now, yes, I know this looks similar to the nervous system, but the effector now we refer to your target organ. This is your target organ, right? So let us have a look at 1.1.4, 1.4.1, by the way. 1.4.1 is osmoregulation. What is stimulating osmoregulation? Of course, is the increase and decrease of water, or you can say dehydration. Dehydration will be the stimulus, and of course, osmoreceptors in the hypothalamus will pick or will detect that, and therefore your target organ will be the kidneys there. So that is 1.4.9. The target organ will be there. That will be the kidneys. Just that I don't have space in the table there. So here, this is the answer for what will cause or what will stimulate the osmoregulation process, and the target organ will be your kidney, where water will be reabsorbed to prevent dehydration. Then salt concentration. What is salt concentration here? For salt concentration, you're looking at salt or Na plus high being high and low, and the cell in the glomeruli will detect that decrease or increase. And the control center, of course, this is 1.4.6. I'm answering this question. The control center, the what is secreting this, it will be the adrenal glands. Adrenal glands are the ones that secrete. So this will be adrenal glands, and of course you still have your target organ as the kidneys. And then moving on to this one, where we have carbon dioxide. The increase and decrease of carbon dioxide will cause a stimulus, and the receptors, this is 1.4.4. The receptors that will detect this are carotid receptor cells. Carotid, I can't remember the name. Carotid carotid cells in the is it the aorta? I think it's in the aorta. Carotid cells or carotid cells, they are the ones that pick up or detect the decrease and increase of carbon dioxide. Basically, it's mainly on the increase of carbon dioxide. And so those receptor cells are found on the neck, right? So in the neck artery, basically it's an artery, right? So carotid cells in the artery of the neck will pick up or will detect. Actually, you should use the word detect. And the control center for this one right here, what is controlling the breathing? If you learned from nervous system, the chapter of nervous system, you know the medulla oblongata is responsible for the breathing rate. So as well as the hypothalamus, but mainly the medulla oblongata. No, it's not the hypothalamus, it's the medulla oblongata. Then here, thyroxine, what stimulates thyroxine, of course, is the increase and decrease. This is 4 point what? I'm here now. This is 4.2. 1.4.2, I mean, is the increase and decrease of thyroxine. Then the receptor is found in the pituitary gland, and the thyroid gland will be your control center because it is the one that is secreting thyroxine. And of course, the target organ will be the body cells because that is where cellular respiration takes place. Then we look at glucose, blood glucose increasing and decreasing. And then we have a receptor that you need to know by name. They are found in the pancreas, right? And the name of those receptors are islets of Lingares. I don't know how to write it correctly, but yeah. Islets of Lingares will be your receptors, or sometimes you can say alpha cells or beta cells. But it is best to say islets of Lingares because these ones you don't have to be specific as to whether they are alpha cells or beta cells found in the pancreas. Then what is the target organ here? What is the target organ for this? You can say blood. You can say blood. Blood is the one where these hormones will definitely try to decrease the blood glucose. And lastly, we look at what thermoregulation, and this is 1.4.3. Under thermoregulation, what do we have there? What is the stimulus for this? Stimulus is the temperature. Temperature, we know, is how hot or how cold it is. So the change in temperature will stimulate thermoregulation, and you have thermoreceptors. The control center, once again, it will be what is this one? Is 1.4.8. The control center will be the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus controls temperature, and the target organ will be the skin. So that is just an overview of all the hormones as well as their endocrine gland that will be secreting them to control and stabilize or maintain balance in the body.